vaccine threw me for a loop. I, my arm was so sore. When I woke up Thursday morning, I was like, I can do this, and I got up, I got dressed, and then I was just like, I didn't want to do anything. And so I canceled my sun salutation class, as some of you know, and then I am so exhausted still. I thought I couldn't be any more tired than I normally am, but I fell asleep last night at 8 o'clock, woke up at midnight, went back to bed, and woke up with my alarm at 7. And I never sleep like that, and I guess it's a little bit of a blessing to be able to sleep like that, but I'm exhausted. I can't imagine how much more tired a person could be being sick with the COVID, because wow. And so many people don't get anything, don't have any reaction at all, and I'm hoping that this doesn't mean I'm going to have a horrible reaction on the next one. But I got the Pfizer one. And I was just I couldn't find the article this morning, but the New York Times has an article out this morning that says it's possible that the Pfizer one only needs one dose. But I'll get my second dose. But that could be very good news. Through the county, I went to the EMU Convocation Center. It was an incredible organization. You go, you park in the lot, you wait until 3 minutes before your appointment time, and then you go out to door D. They ask you what time your appointment is, and they make sure that it's within 3 minutes. And then they let you in, and then you go in, and you stand in a socially distanced line for just a little, and then you tell them who you are, you show them your ID, and then they give you some papers, and then you go through a maze. So you're not down on the basketball court, you're up in the offices, and you go through a maze, and then there's another line, and then there's a million people telling you where to go, and then the next place, they give you a pen, and you fill in your papers, and then you get in line again, and then the next place, you return your pen, and then they tell you where to go, and you go there, and then if it's your first dose, you stand and watch a video about the vaccination and all the rest of the stuff that's supposed to happen, and it's on a loop, so you wait until you're seen whatever, and then you go on, and there's a bunch of people at different stations telling you where to go, and then you get in line. I mean, and always it's just 3 or 4 people ahead of you, and then you get in line, and then there's some numbered stations, and I went over to, I think, 12, and there was a young woman from the National Guard, and she gave me my vaccine, and then you go over to another big room where they have chairs every 6 or 8 feet, and you sit there for 15 minutes, and they give you a QR code and a website address, and you go on there, and you sign up for your next shot exactly 3 weeks later, and you wait there for 15 minutes, and if you feel okay, then you leave. And I sat there, and I had every reaction a person could possibly have, up to not dying from a vaccination. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing. I started sweating. I got so nervous. That was all psychosomatic. But then I went home and I went skiing, and somewhere in the middle of it, my arm just started killing me, and I was skiing with one arm, and I came home and I sat down and I was too tired to even get up to get something to eat. I was just exhausted, and then I woke up Thursday morning and couldn't, with possibly 2 sun salutations, and then I had to teach 2 more classes, which I got through, and then I taught again on Friday morning. I thought it was okay, and then Friday afternoon I went skiing again. Came home just exhausted. So wild, just wild. But also super emotional. I almost started crying when that young woman gave me that shot, just because it felt cathartic, and I still feel a little. I was surprised when I told my kids I finally had gotten the first vaccine. Caleb almost started crying, and Nico and Sam were just like, they've been so worried about me getting sick, even though I've been super duper careful, and they know it. And also because, like, although I am almost 67, I don't really feel like I'm in that age category, because I feel like I'm healthier and in better shape than a lot of people my age, but they were they've been super worried, and they're worried about their dad, who they finally convinced to sign up for an appointment, but who hasn't promised them he'd get the vaccination, so they're worried about him. But it's interesting, because I don't think of my kids as worrying about me at all, so it was nice, but also I didn't feel like they needed to. But also, it seems like almost everyone I know over 65 has gotten at least an appointment. I have a few straggling friends who are still waiting for appointments and stuff, but it seems like people are getting vaccinated, and if you're patient, they will get a hold of you. Yeah. Well, asthma isn't a pre-existing condition, which I think is hysterical or sad or whatever. But they're not doing it by age. That would have made sense. Then I would have been one of the last people. They're just randomly pulling names. But he signed up through who? Yeah, because Michigan Medicine is telling people to forget them and to sign up with the county. He'll get called. And luckily, he's being super careful. So, oh, yeah. Really? For shots 3 times a week? Steroid shots? Or just, I don't know. Okay, so they're, wow. I never heard of that. Wow. Does it help? Does it help? Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, there aren't really magic bullets. The spine clinic really does. I remember when Denise was going to the spine clinic, it didn't seem to help at all. Yeah, it sounds great. It's not. Well, here's my camera wide again. When I turned it on earlier, it was much narrower. Thursday night, it was so wide you could see the walls on either side of the camera. It was like a fisheye lens. Um, I wish I could figure out how to stabilize my camera so it's always the same, because I set it up not so far away, and then all of a sudden it's wider, and I'm now farther away. But that's the way it's going to be today. So, well, I hope I tried. I was going to cancel my Rite Aid appointment, and I told one of my students who didn't have an appointment that we should get on the phone, and while I cancel it, maybe she could grab it. But if I can, I'll call Ken instead, because he needs it more. But the thing was, this was so bizarre. I had opened up the window where it said if you want to cancel or reschedule your Rite Aid appointment. And when I went back upstairs to talk to Linda, my email disappeared off of my computer. The window closed, and I can't figure out how to. There's no place that I can find that tells me where to cancel that appointment. It was just bizarre. I don't know. I went through every file in my email, and I can't find it. It's not there. It's just bizarre. Anyway, I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if I canceled it, if that time would open up right away. But I was willing to give it a shot, and I couldn't find it. Oh, okay. Thank you, Pam. I will do that. Okay, that maybe it was a text. Wow. Okay. Well, that that makes me feel because they can't take an email off of my email. I couldn't figure that out. Okay, that's good. So, Margaret, after class, I'll give you a call and see if we can get Ken that appointment. It's a long shot, but why not try? Yeah. All right. Interlock your fingers. Reach out and up. And turn to the right. Remember, when we're turning now, we're going to remember to use our head correctly. And so you're going to line your chin up with your sternum, pull the chin way away, let the chest chase after the chin, and then draw the chin to the right, so that you're never really turning the head, but you're lifting it up more and letting your revolving action in the lower spine turn the head. And we're going to do that here and then forevermore. Come back to center. And back to center. Bring your hands behind the head. Reach up. your elbows. And reach again. And fold. Come back up. Change your interlock. To the right. To center. And left. And to center. Bring the hands behind the head. Hold the elbows. You may eventually need a second chair. It doesn't need to be a yoga chair, but you may need a second chair. And but first, you'll need a chair. You want to make the chair back higher, so put a sticky mat and a bunch of blankets on the top of your chair. If you have a studio chair, you might not need to put so many blankets on there. I didn't use my studio chair yesterday when I did this, but I'm going to try today. You might not need so many blankets, although it's nice to have that thickness of the blankets over the chair. Need a brick on the seat of your chair. So I'm gonna make my blankets extra thick and fold them one more time. And how high you need to make it. Open our side ribs up a little bit. So it doesn't need to be as low as you can fold in Trikonasana, but borrow this chair, it's a little annoying. But what we want to do is we're going to pull the front legs of the chair up and get this down, be able to rest the lowest ribs on there, roll over it, and then try to stay where you are and bring the chair back and use the chair to help spread the ribs open. Be patient about it because around the chair, the blankets are on your ribs. You have to be able to, you want to get it down as far, and you're leaning on the side ribs are leaning on the chair. So you want to be patient. You'll be comfortable with the legs of the chair lifted, the front legs of the chair lifted, and then you're slowly going to see about letting the chair, it feels like, and I think it is, opening up the side ribs there. And every once in a while, give yourself a little ease back and feel how it feels when it starts to open up. You need to keep your right shoulder back. And maybe take a wider stance. You know, we're in Trikonasana, so take a nice wide stance. Get that right shoulder out of the way. Line your chin up with your sternum. Let the chest chase after the chin as you pull it away. So that you've got this side fold and a back bend all at the same time. And then you can bring the right arm up like it's doing Trikonasana. But then you can also press into that right leg, bring the arm to Parsvakonasana. And keep rolling the spine from the left to the right. And taking some deep, nice yoga breaths. Don't forget that back bend. The chin pulls away from the chest. You'll be looking up. The chest chases after the chin. And then come on up. Let's do the other side. Roll the spine from the right to the left. Get that left shoulder out of the way. Bring your chin in line with your sternum. Draw it away. Let the chest lift up after it. let that chair rock a bit so that you can kind of feel those ribs opening up. You can add the left arm in Trikonasana, but you can also press into that left leg so that you can feel both sides of the rib really as you pull that left arm over into Partha Konasana. Let that chair open up in the right side ribs. And then drag the navel to the spine. So you're doing a side fold and a back bend at the same time. Okay, we're going to do that just one more time. So if you want to make your chair higher or lower, your chair back higher or lower, you can do that now. One of my Meredith students, she wanted to know if I am constantly buying fresh flowers for my vase over here. Like, you know, I spend about $40 a week on fresh flowers just for you guys. And they're always exactly the same. Let those side ribs open up. Get the shoulder out of the way. Take the back bend in the upper back. Add the Trikonasana arm. And then the Partha Konasana arm. Out and take a little bit of a wider stance and see if you can do something similar with the folded left leg. Okay? I'm going to switch. Hey, Pam, you don't know how much that makes me feel better. I spent a bit of time looking for that email, and it was driving me nuts. So I'm sure you're right, and that just, I was so spooked by it. So cool. Eventually add the left arm and bring it to Partha. 'Cause, 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 'cause the chair rock away from you to open up those upper side ribs. And then take a little bit of a wider stance and let your right leg fold a bit. And find yourself in Partha Konasana. All right. I want to do Supta Virasana, but with a little bit of a back bend, more like a pre-Kapotasana kind of thing. And you can sit up as high as you need to, you can put your knees, etc. And then you'll just have to make your stool higher. So it should be like this. You can support your head with your hump if you want to, or you can support your head with your interlocked fingers and holding your head, which is what I'm going to do, because I think it helps open up the upper chest quite a bit, and that's kind of where we're going for the moment. So I kept my heat at a constant temperature of 68 last month, and my feedback from DTE was that the mean temperature, or the average temperature, I'm not sure which one, was 2 months ago was 24.5 degrees, and this month was 12, which I thought didn't seem right, but that's what it said. And my bill was $10 more. So it was an absolute win. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in this super cold weather that we've had. But at least with my boiler, it was less expensive to keep my heat at a constant temperature than let my house cool down. So I want my upper back supported. I'm not going to worry too much about this, although you can support that if you need to. And again, you can be up higher, but you need to be able to get that chest down and support it as much as you can. And then you can support your head with something like a hump. What I'd like is for your head to be the same height as your stool. And of course, if this is a difficult situation for you, just do the best you can. Set up in Supta Virasana the best you can. But what I'd like is for you to be able to really rest the shoulder blades. And then instead of leaving the pelvis down, you can push up from the tailbone to open up the groin here. So that when you push up from the tailbone, not from the top of the sacrum, but distinctly from the tailbone, you'll feel the muscles of the front thigh start to open up, and you'll start to see that you can open the chest a little more. And we've theoretically opened our side ribs, and now we're going to open the front and back ribs. ideally, you could set up so that you could start to let the head come down to the height of the chest. But you might not be in an ideal situation in Supta Virasana, and you're just going to do the best you can here. Should you need to take a break, I think you should, but otherwise just stay. Think about both the side ribs and the front and back ribs. All right, and we need to sit back up. And so now let's do the half dog pose. Actually, you could do it like a dolphin pose. Interlock your fingers and extend just the little fingers together. So the hands like this. So you like this. And in the elbows, shoulder width, the forearms on the floor. And then up and back, lifting up and opening the ribs and chest. The head comes up off the floor. It swings from your hands, away from the hands and up off the floor. Pull the quads up, pull the hamstrings up. Press the back of the heels towards the floor. Lift the spine and open the ribs. And then come down. All right, now you'll need something like a bolster and maybe some blankets too. So if you have to roll a bolster, go ahead and do that. While you're doing that, I want to read you this. My brother, he lives down in San Antonio. My nephew's baby was just born last week, and he was in the ICU for his glucose levels for a week, and it was super stressful. And then they had that big storm, and my nephew's house didn't have any power, and he's about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes away from Steve's house. And so Steve had to get in his four-wheel drive truck and drive over to Dylan's house, which is 10 minutes away. And this is what he brought with him. he had on his long johns, his tactical pants, his avalanche responder bibs, 3 different sets of warm gloves, a ski face mask, white gaiter, duck boots, and 2 extra pairs of hiking shoes, road flares, and a towing strap, backpacking food, camping backpack if he had to walk after abandoning his vehicle, emergency responder jacket shell, bottled water, charged battery pack capable of 4+ iPhone charges, to drive 10 minutes to my nephew's house. I mean, I was really laughing. I'm like, geez, I live in Michigan, and I don't have any of that in my car. All right. You can pad up the floor if you need to. You're going to stack up that pile of stuff there. We're gonna be on the this is the left leg that's folded. Well, the left leg's on the floor, and so you either need to make this high enough that you can very much rest your the front, not the inner leg, but the front of your left thigh on these bolsters, and extend the left leg, and then you can bring the right knee forward, and then your job is to be able to stand up as much as you can, and then move the knees away from each other as much as you can. I want to tell you, I spent that big money on Patricia Walden's Ekapata Rajakapatasana workshop, and I can't stop thinking about how I want my money back. It was just the worst. And she never did anything. She had some guy in Dallas showing off his poses, and she sat there on the floor in front of her tressor, just yapping away. And I was so disappointed. Even though I couldn't do most of it, it was an extremely disappointing workshop. So this doesn't have anything to do with that. So, but we are moving into some of those situations. But you want this to be high enough and thick enough that you can really rest on it. So, but at the same time, that left thigh bone shouldn't push into the quad. It should press back into the hamstring. And then you don't want to just lean back here. You have to lift up to come upright. And then you can pull the chin away from the chest. But if you do that, the chest has to chase along. If it doesn't chase along, you're just moving your head. And so you really want the chest to come along. Make sure right at the moment that the right leg isn't flopping to the right. All right, let's switch. You can make this as high as you need to. So you don't want to just bring the left knee forward, and you don't want to just move the right knee back, but you want to move them away from each other. You want to be able to fairly comfortably rest the front of the right thigh on the blanket, and pull the thigh bone into the hamstring, and then lift up to stand up. But the idea is that the knees move away from one another, not just one knee moving. And that's a constant thing that you're trying to release the knees away. All right, so, you know, if your knees don't like to fold, I highly recommend putting these towels in here and letting the front leg fold a bit. You need to kind of tuck your heel back so that the front knee's closed up a bit. But come on out. The other thing I want to really stress is that this has to be high enough that when your back leg is resting on here, that you're not in the inner leg, that you've really got that leg lined up and front facing. Because if you start to go the other way, it's a different thing, and we'll do a little bit of that, but we're not doing that right now. Well, not with the back leg. The back leg should always be in line. So let's just switch and try the first leg. So tuck the right heel back a bit so that you've got some room here to let this knee come forward a bit. And so now I don't want to just move my left knee back. I want to lean into that right knee too, so that they've got this thing going on together. You can come up to the top of your foot if you want, but when you do that, you really want to. You have to really work the. This is easier because the inner leg isn't as connected all the way into the big toe. But when you bring the left foot to the top of the foot, it tends to roll this leg out and bring you into the inner leg here. So you don't want that to happen. This left hip has to come around. That left thigh has to be forward facing and downward facing. And then you lift up to stand up, and then you can catch your thumbs if it doesn't bother your back, and start to move the shoulder blades up the back. You can keep the elbows bent until you can find those shoulder blades to help you extend the arm. All right, and then come out. Ron, when you emailed me and said you couldn't come today, I'm like, oh, lucky you. And then when I got your second email saying you could probably come, I'm like, oh, you're going to be sorry. So, ideally, the back of the left thigh and the front of the right thigh are on your bolsters here. And the knees have to move away from each other. And then you don't bring the arms up until you feel like you can stand up without crunching your back. And then you can start to and keep the elbows wide and find the shoulder blade so that it's the shoulder blade that's allowing you to extend the arms. And as you're there, keep moving the knees away from each other. Okay. Our next situation is Paschimottanasana. But you don't have to fold in. You can keep the spine extended. So give yourself a little height and make sure that you don't hyperextend your legs so that if you're sitting up on something like a bolster that you've got something under your calf muscles. I just have to say that I watched Judas and the Black Messiah on HBO the other night, and it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. It was so powerful. I highly recommend it. And if you don't have HBO, you should buy it for a month just to see it. All right, so this is mostly about opening our legs here. So you can keep the chest lifted, and we've opened up those side ribs, so it's nice to be able to feel them in something like a forward extension. So you can just slide your thumbs up the side ribs and feel them open. If you can't catch your toes, have fake feet with bricks. Keep lifting the chest up, but let the legs open up. Once you're wherever you are, lift up as much as you possibly can. Make the legs strong and stable. And wherever you land for a bit, make sure you can pull the elbows wide. So Julie, the blanket here is this way. It's stopping the shin bones from collapsing. So you let yourself fold as much as you want, as long as you can keep lifting up and trying to take a back bend while you're doing it. Press the thigh bones down. That's one of the benefits of this blanket that goes across underneath your calf. You can really press the thigh bones down. All right. Get your chair. So your heels are lined up. You're set up like you're in Virabhadrasana 1. And you're off to the right side of your chair because you want to bring that that right hip around. You want that right thigh to rest on those metaphorical bolsters, the front of the right thigh to do that. So the inner right thigh should be on the face of the chair here. And here you don't have to have this the back leg turned out. You can bring it into like more of a lunge position, but you want the inner legs lined up. And as you lift yourself up and open the chest, you can work on extending the left leg. Pressing your right thigh into the hamstring. Spread the toes. So lift up all through this right side. All right, let's switch. I got this guy I don't know in my emeritus class. He's an old guy and super stiff, but he doesn't like to follow directions. So he thinks he knows best. That's what I figured. And so I'm always looking at him, and he's never doing. Sometimes he's not even doing what we're doing. But he's a nice enough guy, and I've just let him kind of flounder around. And then he sent me an email. He goes, I want to tell you about all the yoga I've done over the years. And he started telling me all the people he studied with in town, people I know. And he's been doing yoga for 20 years. And I think it's kind of sad, actually. He can't hardly move, and he's been doing yoga for 20 years, and he doesn't seem to know anything. And I just wrote him back, and I'm like, wow, you're a very experienced yogi. But I'm thinking, like, why after 20 years? I can see where you could still be stiff, but you'd think you'd know something about how to take a class. It's bizarre. You got to lift up to make room to straighten that right leg, and you want to open up the back leg. You're going to press into the back of the leg. And again, you have to bring the front of that left thigh forward so that you're not kind of torquing the back leg in a weird way. All right, let's do another set of those. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's fine. Make the chair seat as high as you need, so that you can take that action. Oh, I didn't even realize. Hold on a second. I was trying to think what's in the picture, and it's my tripod for my boy. That's better. I guess. So annoying. The Zoom wasn't really meant for yoga. Yeah, so if you need to, so that you can get this hip around to straighten the leg, if you need to make your chair seat higher, there's no harm in that. Go ahead and put the weight in the back leg. You need to do that. And like I said, it could be in a full lunge position. And then lengthen that left leg. And then both of the thigh bones press into the hamstrings. All right, switch. Press that left thigh bone back, lengthen that left leg, and then lengthen the right leg. Lift up from the pubic bone. Okay, we're going back down to those piled up bolsters. Here's our muse, though. Yeah, I showed this to you last week, but she's definitely our muse. Here's our other muse. I'm going to turn forward for the set. But the other thing that you can do, I'll turn sideways and do this, is to help with the extension of that back leg, is to, you probably have to then make your bolsters higher, but to make a ledge for your thigh. So that, I'll just bring these in case I need them, so that when you bring the left leg back here, that you can, it's in the right spot, that your knee's just off the blankets. And that helps you get your weight off your knee and to put the weight on the thigh, and then you have to still get the front of the thigh on the bolster, which might mean that you want to make the bolster a little higher. I don't know. if that'll help or not. Yeah. That just helps you understand that the weight is supposed to be on the thigh and not your knee. It's both the bolsters and those blankets can help with that. But if the blankets seem to be just an issue, then just forget about them. But I'm going to turn forward because I want to show you what we're going to do. We're going to let this right leg fold like this. But when you do that, you have to keep the weight in the front left thigh. So you have to keep the front of the left thigh on the bolsters. No, the knee is off of the blanket. So you need the whole idea of those blankets with the support your thigh, the base of your thigh. Bring your right heel in line with your left groin. And work on lifting up to stand up. And if you can start to reach up. Don't let that front of the left thigh pull away. And then go ahead and release. And switch. Well, it's another beautiful sunny day, although I think the sun's going to go away right around the end of class. Got to keep bringing that right hip around so that you've fully connected with your bolsters. And you got to lift up to stand up. And you can add the arms if you want. Great. Okay, we're going back to Paschimottanasana. And if it's a hard situation for you, you can separate the feet about as wide as your mat if you need to. But make sure you support your shin bones so they don't collapse. And even if you're a great Paschimottanasana, sit up on some blankets. Because we're not folding in, because we wouldn't want to do that in this kind of a back bend practice. So you have to keep the spine extended in the first part of Paschimottanasana. You can separate your feet as wide as your mat if you want, or less, or bring them together. So, when you separate your feet, it lets the lower back open up a little bit. And so you have to think about that when you're separating the feet, or even when you're not, that the low back needs to, it's not just going to go forward. It has to soften and broaden. And you can think about that, how you're going to facilitate that as you start to come down. So that it's not just this kind of an opening, but it's this kind of opening in the low back. I'm going to try to, this time with my feet separated. You got to press the thigh bones down, keep the sit bones sitting, keep the heels down, and broaden and lengthen. And fold and lift. Work at opening the legs. All right, good. So now your chair. And it's going to face forward. I'm going to turn it this way. And again, you can make the chair seat as high as you might need to. And maybe your hump or your stool to start out here in front. And I guess this is the tricky part. If you have a wall that you can easily put your back foot on, that would be ideal. But if you don't, maybe some sandbags would do. So I'm going to put my right leg in the chair here, like this. And I know we're here. And I'd like that back heel to either be pressing into the wall or something so that it's not just floating, because that's going to be helpful. And you're going to straighten that leg. And again, this leg does not need to be turned in. It's in a lunge position. The more you lean forward, the easier it's going to be to straighten the back leg. lift up, just stand up. You want to get the shoulders up and back. Try to straighten that leg, the back leg, as much as you can. So this back leg, the right leg, it really needs to roll in. Don't let that be compromised. Okay? And if you need to sit up higher to not compromise that, then do. All right, let's just switch. Whole different side. It's like a whole different body. All right, let's switch. It's the right leg that's back now? Yeah. My two sides in this pose are so different. But here, now, and you don't have to stand up all the way, because you'd really like to get that back leg extended. But now, it's this. And you can stay leaning forward, or you could start to lift up. All right, let's switch. You only want that as high as you're comfortable with it to start. We are going to try to put our feet up on a chair seat or something higher, but if you need it to be lower, you need to meet yourself where you are. I think I did the same leg. What leg is back now? The left leg? All right. Yeah, good. You can stay folded forward. That certainly makes that back leg easier, the extension of the whole left side. And as you come up, you have to make sure that you are really on the front of that left thigh. And you can add the right leg. All right. So we're going to try this again, and you have a couple choices. You can just be where you are and work at lifting the heel up. I think that's a good thing, and lengthening the right leg, or just working at the height you are. You might be at your full extension there. We've done this before with the chair seat, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that if you want to lift your foot up higher, you could just do what I just showed. Chair seat. Would be bringing the leg fully extended at the same height. So any of those things would be fine. And the right leg's back. So once you get your leg fully extended and you're lifted up as much as you can, you don't really want to start to lift your arms until you're really standing upright. But if you get yourself all the way up, you can, because as you're standing upright, you're looking for that back bend, but you're not going to really get it until you're up a little bit. You don't want to be having to lean too far forward to bring the arms up, I don't think. I think you should work at lifting yourself up. And then when you bring the arms up, you're looking for that back bend. All right? We can switch. So the first thing is to get yourself in as good of an alignment as you can. And then to extend the leg a bit. And if you want, you can extend it as far as you can. And then to stay on that front of that left thigh. And to press your thigh bones down. And then to work on standing up. And then that extra bit of back bend. right, and then undo. That was fun. You remember doing that in Saturday morning class once before? Because you have. Let's go back down to the bolsters, all right? You can have those extra blankets to lift your knee up off the floor if you want. No, and before we do that, let's take that that dolphin dog pose, all right? So you interlock your fingers, but you extend your little fingers and bring them together. And the elbows are under the shoulders, beneath the shoulders. And then you can start with your head on your hands, on your thumbs, and then you pull up and pull back. The head lifts up off the floor, and the chest lifts like mad. And the navel draws way back into the spine. The thigh bones press into the hamstrings. And the heels reach towards the floor. And so come on down. So that pose is interesting because it's not the widest stance in the world. And what you're going for is trying to bring the stance more narrow, which is hard. So you're pretty happy here, maybe, and then you have to work at keeping that lift through the chest and everything, and coming closer and coming closer until you can't really do the action anymore. So you might need to stay wide, but you could try one, seeing what it's like to walk in. Because you have to be able to lift up, the head comes away from the hands and pulls towards your feet. And then you have to keep that height and that length and narrow the stance. So you're basically just walking towards something like Pincha Mayurasana. Okay, good. All right, so then come on down and set the bolsters up again. This should be easy now because we did all the hard stuff. Let's have the right leg back. So we're standing, we'll start out standing, that left foot on the floor. The alignment is particularly important here. So I did that wrong. This blanket is for your knee to be just off of. so that you get the idea that the really 2 blankets is better. You get the idea that the knees shouldn't be, the knee should be lifting up. I would put a second one in there. If you're going to use it, you might as well do it right. And then if you want to take the back, then just lift up a little bit, because the other thing that needs to happen is that we need to be able to lift this up. This is just the worst part of it, and we're not going to attach ourselves to that, but we do need to start to work on being able to fully extend that groin and fold that leg. Yaza. Right, and then bring the leg down if you lifted it, and lift the chest up. Move your tailbone right into the bolsters. And if you want, then you can reach up and take that back bend. And then release. We got one more side. You're a quiet, uncomplaining lot. Mostly everyone's muted. Really roll that thigh, that left thigh, to face forward. You don't want that groin facing the bolsters. And you can work a little on folding that left leg and lifting the chest. And then extend the left leg and push the tailbone forward. Stand up and add the arms and back bend if you want. And then release. That's lovely. So if I was teaching a workshop on Ekapada Rajakapatasana, that's how I would start it, and that's where we're going to end it. But I think that was great, and they're hard poses, and they entail a lot of other things happening in your body for you to really get into them, but they're always worth approaching, no matter where you are in your practice, I think, just to see where you are and to see what you need to do, and you can find all those little places that are holding you back. And one of them is that ability to move the thigh to face forward. But now let's do our Sirsasana practice. And if you're not doing Sirsasana, you could do the Viparita Karani Sirsasana on the chair, but along with what we've got going on today, Prasarada Padottanasana would be a great place to be if you're not going to do Sirsasana, the wide-legged standing forward bend. I'm trying to, this is the hardest thing, and you see it on some of the Zoom interviews on the late shows and everything. It's really hard. My camera is here, and I should be talking into that. But you guys are all down here on my TV, and if I put the TV up high, it's in the way of the camera. But I'm talking to you guys down here on my TV, but I really should be talking into my camera. And it is almost impossible to do that. It's just, it's too hard on my brain. So, Sirsasana, or your Sirsasana practice. Ideally, you have some kind of handle on your tailbone there to draw the tailbone into the body, but up towards your heels. So don't forget to pull the thigh bones into the hamstrings, draw the tailbone in, and lift the tailbone up, and drag the navel back into the spine. You got to evenly bring your thigh bones into the hip socket so that you feel really stable in the hip. And Ron, you're lifting way over to the left, so you want to pull your left thigh bone in and lift it up the whole left side. You're kind of all right. Come down when you're ready. Margaret, you're starting to look really straight up there in the old Zoom. I don't know if it's a fooling of my eye or what, but that looks very balanced to me there. I can see you really well. Uh-huh. Right. Right. Yeah. The seeing yourself is, it's a blessing and a curse. But I think it had stand for a while anyway. I think it's a good idea because if you can't feel it, you can try to develop that inner eye as much as you can. But being able to see it a little bit, I think, is really helpful. I can't remember what we were doing with that shoulder stand pad that folds up, but you're not using that either, right? No. Yeah, okay, it's working for you. All right, Sarvangasana. Oh, you know what? We never did. Before Sarvangasana, let's do this. I missed something in there, but I think this isn't a bad time to do it. You're gonna whatever you're using for those two bolsters, you're going to pile them back up again, but this time in a lengthwise way. And then your hump is almost the same height, and you could throw a blanket over it. Well, your height will be different, but you want something for your heels and calves that is almost the same height as your two bolsters. I don't think your head's going to come down, but if it does, you might want to, I can't remember. So we've done this in Setubandha, but this is just a back bend. The head's going to go back. If it's supported by the floor, it would be better actually to, I guess it's okay. And my head's hitting the floor. I think what I want to do is be up higher. I'm going to make my bolsters higher. I'm going to put them on a shoulder stand pad because I'm lucky to have one. Then you could put some blankets under your whatever you're using for your bolsters and just make them higher. So I want my heels and then some of my calves supported. Just want I want my shoulder blades supported, but my 7th cervical is drawing into the body, and my head's just floating off the floor now, and that's perfect. and you can put the arms wherever is comfortable for you. If the head touches the floor, as long as it's not being jammed in, it's fine. And if you need it to be supported, then do support it on the floor, but as little as possible so that you're not really putting weight on it. So mine's not touching this blanket. I'm going to pull it out. The legs are parallel or together, and the heels and some of the calf are supported. So it's not just Setu Bandha, it's a back bend. And so the back of the head is not supported. If something was supported, it should be the crown of the head. So it's a Setu Bandha is a back bend, but this is a full back bend with the head fully open before we go into shoulder stand. The thighs are pressing down. The navel's dropping down. The soles of the feet are spread, the toes are spread. The thighs are pressing down. And they have something to press into, that length of your bolster. This is a good thing to do right now, but it also would have been a good thing to do earlier in class somewhere, which I had intended to and I forgot. And we could have done it in both of them. We would have done it earlier and then now. And now let's do our Sarvangasana. That's the corollary to the Setu Bandha that we do with just one bolster and the chin and chest together and the legs supported. And they're both super nice for really opening the chest. And but don't forget, way back in the beginning of class, we worked on opening up those side ribs, which I think is a really integral part of this, even though it seems like it is. It absolutely is, because as you start to lift and open the chest, you think about the front and back body, but it's the side body often that is in the way. Oh yeah, they're triple folds. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a nice one from the chair. I forgot about that one. Oh, thanks. I'm going to practice that this week, and maybe I'll do it next week. Good. Yeah, they're triple folded. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't just be one. You have to make sure the edge of them butts right up into the occipital points. By taking that back bend right before the shoulder stand and opening up the back of the neck, it makes the Jalandhara Bandha more accessible. Because the neck really needs to extend to get a good chin lock, and so that back bend was hopefully helpful. And all that extension that we did through the groin and the abdomen and the legs, I'm hoping will pay you back here in Savrangasana. When you're looking at yourself and practicing, like I guess most of us are, although if you don't really want to look at yourself, there is a way to not show you your own little square there. But what you want to do is find the best alignment from the inside and from the outside, if you're because you're looking, and then try to put that into your cellular knowledge, so that when you're not looking, you can find that new alignment that you've integrated into your body. And I have to admit, I'm looking at myself, and because even if I were to block myself off of my Zoom screen, I can see myself in my camera, and so I do see myself, and it's I have found it both distracting and helpful at the same time. I try not to look most of the time. Excuse me. So, we've been practicing, I feel like, a lot of Virabhadrasana ones, and they are the precursor to all the Ekapada Rajakapotasanas. And so if you find that, I'm sure today was challenging to a certain degree for everybody, but the, the easier poses that feed into that are the Virabhadrasana ones. So it's about 10:30, and so if you have to be somewhere or do something, you should come out and do your savasana. But if you want to spend a few more minutes in Sarvangasana, you can. So many people are coming down. I think that come down when you're ready so that we can end together. And if you need to end because it's 10:30, you can just wave goodbye. Mitsukasu. If you want to stay in Savasana, be my guest. Namaste. See you, Pam. Just what you want to do on Saturday morning. Well, that wasn't a Setu Bandha, that was a back bend. Yeah. 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 Yeah, mostly what's hard is that rotation of your thigh. When you get that better, it'll be make it things will be easier for you. But yeah, actually, I don't think it has anything to do with being short waisted. It's just tightness, and some of your short waistedness is tightness in there. So I would just practice this. It pays you back. Things open up. You're not stuck there because of that you think you're short waisted. You're not stuck there because of that. Yeah. All right. I'm ready now. Yeah, I can do sun salutations now. It's just I'm hoping that I energize myself a little bit today with all that sleeping and stuff. Yeah. Well, I get out in it every day. I'm out in it for 4 hours a day skiing. So I love the weather. So I'm not like really brought down by it. So it's supposed to warm up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. See ya. Uh huh. Oh, good. Good. I think that's always a good goal for a class. For myself, also, when I have a nice shoulder stand, I feel like my practice was very successful. So, Margaret, I'm going to um, go up and try to find that link to Rite Aid. Do you have the link to their portal to sign up for a Rite Aid appointment? Okay, I can't do it on Tuesday because I have a class right at. Oh, Tuesday night. Oh yeah. Okay, we can do that. Okay. 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 All right. But all you have to do I have the link to the portal, and I'll send it to you. And I mean, and really, it's just going to be about you getting in there, signing Ken up again. Just do it again, and then me canceling my shot and seeing if right away March 3rd at whatever time it was comes up. That's all it is. All right. So yeah, I don't know if it'll work. I don't know, and I'm assuming it was a text, and I can find it on my text. So although I also got an email because I clicked on that button on my email. The email did disappear. I don't know where it is, but if maybe they sent me a text too, so that would be good. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. No problem. That's well before I need to cancel it for a March 3rd appointment, so it's okay. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. All right. Yeah, I hope that Ken starts to feel better. That's discouraging.